What's up? Total Control 871. Chiming in tonight with a couple of topics. I know there are two things that I want to talk about. Headline news. I guess we'll call this a headline news edition. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'll see how I feel later. There are the two topics that I want to talk about. The first one would be the New York City attorney who set himself on fire, committing suicide. I believe his name is David Buckle. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hope I remember that right. Like I say, I am still working with only one phone. And anyway, I can't really read the article for you right now. I find the suicide completely illogical. Some of you might be a little surprised to hear that, considering I am currently planning and mapping out my own suicide. I suppose the first thing that I find highly illogical about his suicide is that his final act added to his, carbon emissions. You died adding to the very thing that you were protesting. I didn't understand that your method of suicide. So I understand one partially burned human body is actually minuscule in the overall scheme of things. Nevertheless, you added to. And I get it. His point is not lost on me. He's trying. His final act on this earth was to be a lightning rod, and draw attention to his cause. Actually, it's pretty ironic and gripping that he chose. Although it's not Central Park. Although then again, what was the name of the park that he It was a park in New York City. I'm sorry, I forget the name of the exact park. So considering it's still in New York City, these boulders might still be there. The rock might still be there. I know in Central Park, there are these huge boulders, Geologists confirmed a very long time ago that they are not indigenous to the New York region, and wondered where in the world did they come from. As it turns out, those rocks came from the Arctic Circle. How in the hell did rocks from the Arctic Circle make its way down to New York? On ice glaciers. The glaciers, much like our glaciers today are doing, they break off into icebergs, they float, they carry the boulders along to the region of the North American continent, or was it even the North American continent? We really don't know exactly how far back this thing goes. The continents, our 7 continents, could still be something of a Pangea at this state, but the point is, the rocks came from the North Pole, and they were carried along on ice glaciers, and those glaciers eventually melted. Yes, melted, as in global warming, as in hundreds of thousands of years ago, as in Homo erectus not even being completely erect, let alone invent the internal combustion engine, burning coal, burning oil, burning, even whale oil. So the thing with the whole global warming thing that confounds me is that it is the liberal left's own scientists that confirm the Earth has gone through several ice ages. I'll point this out also while I'm on ice ages and ice ages beginning and ending. How's this for arrogance? What makes you think Earth's natural state of being is this current M class. For all my Star Trek fans out there, maybe I'll Google and find out. But when you hear Star Trek speak of an letter M class world, it means Earth-like atmosphere. The seasons. The M does stand for a big ass long word that starts with the letter M. I guess I'm kind of showing that I'm not quite up to snuff on my Star Trek trivia, what M class stands for. And I also don't know, because I know Trek, it is indeed a hodgepodge mixture of science fiction and science fact. So that big ass long word that starts with the letter M, it might actually be a real word from the scientific community. I honestly don't know. But my point is that what makes you think Earth is supposed to be the Goldilocks planet? Earth's been orbiting the sun for billions of years, something like 4 billion years. Ice ages are for what, 20, 30, 40,000 years? It's a pretty short amount of time in the grand scheme of things. And humans being on their current version of the evolution scale, we've only been here for like 100,000 years, if that long. Very, very, very brief and minute. It's like being in a meeting with people who smoke. It was the one time. It's like leaving the meeting years later, learning you have cancer and blaming it on that one meeting. Is it actually, so oh my God, it's not even the 40,000 or the 100,000 years. Our burning of fossil fuel has only been for like 120 years, unless you want to predate wood, wood or what have you. The earth will heal. I don't think man is attributing to it. Man is causing a part of it, but I just don't believe that fossil fuels are the actual cause of the global warming. I think what's happening, I believe in global warming. It's definitely getting warmer. Our seasons are definitely becoming far more hostile. I don't know where you guys are at in the world here, but I can't help but notice we're in April now. The atmosphere just feels very supercharged. It does. Very windy. It's just like gusty. And I get it. We have windy days and whatnot, but I don't know. It's just something that I just feel that the atmosphere is very supercharged this particular year. And even before they eventually, the meteorologist did indeed confirm my suspicions that we are slated to have a very volatile, stormy summer season. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if that actually pans out. Earth is going to change its atmosphere regardless. I believe this man killed himself for what ultimately is in the hands of Mother Nature, planet Earth. The Earth will warm and the Earth will freeze again. It's already done it. Your own liberal geologists, scientists, climatologists, they confirm this. You can't stop it from happening. You can make your vehicles as fuel efficient as you want. The Earth's atmosphere will change. Humans will come to cease to exist eventually. You're desperately trying to control the uncontrollable. You're trying to control the weather. It literally just isn't possible. So I'm sorry about that. Let me check my time. All right, I got some more time here. I'll segue into my second topic, but before I do, I'll talk real briefly about the YouTube shooter, because we're talking about how activist groups are becoming radicalized. It was mentioned a while ago, a year or so ago, maybe longer. The FBI is definitely keeping close eyes on activist groups, so it's not just Black Lives Matter that they're keeping an eye on. It's pretty much all the activist groups. I definitely know they're watching me. So, anyway, the YouTube shooter, I do forget her name. You know, I see some really far out handles on YouTube, and maybe some other social media platforms. Given the fact that this woman wanted to make such a name for herself, you would have thought she would have picked something that kind of rolls off the tongue a little easier. I mean, I get it, she's foreign, so it might be easy to remember and pronounce in her country, what have you. Anyway, let me move on from that. But yeah, some of the names that comments on my channel is like, it's like I can't even pronounce your shit, man. Anyway, somewhere along the line, this woman's passion for animals ended up getting put to the back of her priorities. And that sounds kind of weird, considering that she supposedly went on a mass shooting spree in the name of animals, but no, it wasn't. No. You went on a shooting spree because YouTube was curtailing your notoriety. Okay? For somebody that was supposed to have been so activist oriented, so in love with her animals, it turns out that she herself was nothing more than a person who was just driven by avarice, greed, celebrity, whether real or perceived. You wanted views, clicks, subscribers, and of course the almighty ad dollar. Ooh, yes. And when these things were taken away from you, well, we certainly see. You know, Facebook isn't the only one out there who's conducting experiments with your mind. You know, all of Silicon Valley, they're very interested in knowing your switches, your buttons, what turns you on, what turns you off, what makes you happy, angry, sad, enraged, what moves you to action, and what makes you apathetic. All of Silicon Valley is out there watching, carefully watching. So, this woman, she didn't further her cause, further her plight. Her final act on this world wasn't even in the name of her cause. She just simply was a woman that she felt she had been, felt she had been cheated out of her celebrity, budding celebrity, you know, and of course the ad dollars. For some of my newest subscribers, I get the question every now and then, are you making money off of your videos? No. This channel is not monetized in any fashion whatsoever. I refuse to accept the paltry table scraps that that Google would give me. It wouldn't even be enough money to get off the streets, while they and their ad representatives take the lion's share. So I got your lion's share right here, okay? So yeah, that's our YouTube shooter. She went down in her blaze of glory over nothing but had nothing at all to do with her causes. Had nothing at all to do with being an animal rights activist. So just like our attorney, you killed yourself and you didn't think, Anyway. Okay, I want to talk now, if I have any time left, to this was a sharp blow to the gut. The Starbucks black, shall we call them customers? Potential customers, because they hadn't purchased anything yet. The 2 black men that were arrested in the Starbucks, hauled out. The entire nation is in an uproar over it. I'll post a link in the description where it talks about Fox, I believe, Fox 29. They're covering it. I think Dave Kinchin is the reporter. Day 2 of protest, Starbucks. Now, while it is true, my McDonald video was done in September. It's approaching 500,000 views. None of the major news networks were interested in that story. I put calls out. I believe the last one I spoke with was Eric Hughes from 6ABC. And Eric Hughes told me that he didn't have any reporters to spare because they were all down in Puerto Rico covering the Puerto Rican hurricane. See, you guys think I'm being some sort of right-wing bigot when I talk about this pre-authorized liberal agenda. Are you on the liberal agenda list like a fucking maitre d' at a snooty-ass restaurant? Instead of asking for your name, cause... Oh, gay, LGBT. Oh, that's on our list. You may go in. Cause, Syrian refugee. Oh, yep, you can go in as well. So, if you're not on the pre-authorized liberal media agenda list, then you're not going to get any kind of national coverage. They'll just, well, I suppose... like Donald Trump paid to do, they'll just catch and kill your story, yeah, so none of them. CBS, ABC, NBC, nobody wanted my story. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to talk about it. Why? I could definitely speculate as to why. I mean, look at me, or maybe I should say, listen to me. I don't talk and I don't act like homeless people, or should I say, the stereotypical homeless person. Because God knows there's no shortage of that comments on the McDonald video. You don't look or talk like you homeless. Really? What does a homeless person look like? What does a disabled person look like? I wasn't aware that there was a look that you had to have. If you homeless, how come you got a phone? How come you got a bank account? I don't know. Could it be because bank accounts are free? Hey, there's a thought. Why don't you go get one? How much money have you dumped into check cashing agencies? Wasted money. Yeah. Minorities are good for that one. And full disclosure, I used check cashing places for a while myself. But yeah, you don't have to. Now look at me, I'm trying not to blanch off into too many topics here. But yeah, I've already said it before. The phone's a Galaxy Note 2. It's 6, 7 years old. The phone is just simply hacked into oblivion. I will say this: homeless people are not exactly born homeless. You know, it is their belief that anything of value, meaning how come this phone that I'm holding in my hand right now, how come it's not at the pawn shop? How come you didn't sell it for your drug and alcohol money? Gee, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't want any drugs and I don't want any alcohol. Although there are days, man, when I could definitely use a good stiff drink. Jesus Christ. But no, I'm not an alcoholic. And of course, the irony is that there are alcoholics out there who have multiple homes, multiple vehicles, driving them drunk, killing people. All right, I don't want to get off into that. It's a blow to the gut that the major media picked this up and ran with it. Why? Because it's black, not homeless. It's black. Now, some of you out there might be saying, well, race is a protected class. Race is a protected class. Are you sure you really want to jump on this whole private property, private company bandwagon? You really want to stop and think about this? Because after all, most ambulances, most EMTs and paramedics are privately owned. What if the EMT that arrives to help you just doesn't like something about you? Maybe you vex them. Maybe something with their political, religious beliefs. What if you're covered in tattoos and they believe you to be a gang member and they don't want to help you? They don't want to serve you. How far can that slippery slope go? Now, these two black men, they came in, sat down. I don't know exactly for how long, but I believe one of them asked to use the bathroom, or so it was purported. All this without having purchased anything. Me? I'm a homeless man who purchased, who has a long history with patroning McDonald's, not just simply that day, but a long history. Dollar for dollar, because like I say, it was when I put together those 6 months of bank statements for the court that they needed that for my declaration of indigency, it was extremely depressing. You look through it and you just see where all the money for all that fast food is going. It's horrible. Dollar for dollar, there's way more money spent at fast food restaurants than in the bike shop. Way more. Anyway, the nation didn't care about this particular homeless man. You're homeless. And you're a weird type of homeless at that. You don't talk the way we want our homeless to talk. I can't wrap my head around you. How come you don't do all the things that regular homeless people do? All this stereotype. I think that also detracted away from major media not wanting my story. They like the feel-good angle, especially during our American homeless season, just after Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's American homeless season. That's where we get our little brief moment spotlight. They take a break from the refugees and the illegal aliens yeah. They don't like stories that they can't craft the narrative, control the narrative. You see, the media, they like to pretend that they're just simply the fact gatherers. We just report the facts. Shut up. No, you don't. You do far more than that. You craft the narrative and you yourself manipulate public opinion, whether it's left wing or right wing. Okay, you're no better than Facebook. Alright guys, I think I've gone on enough here. What can I say? I'm not on the pre-authorized list, so homeless people don't matter. They can pretty much do to us whatever they want to. Homeless people are set on fire. Nobody really cares about that. Our tents, our camps are vandalized by teens or police. Nobody cares about that. We're a class of people who have been bullied into silence. What are you going to say, you dirty bum? I bet you got a whole bunch of warrants. Yeah, I can do whatever I want to you because you won't call the police. You'll end up getting arrested yourself. Now do you understand why I refuse to run and abscond away from the state of New Jersey? People also say, oh, I can't believe the way you spoke to those cops. Of course I spoke to those cops that way. I'm a grown man. And I won't have my rights trodden on. And I'm not going to skulk around in the darkness. When I see a cop car come down the street, start looking the other way like I'm looking at something else. You know, not only in New Jersey, but if I were to go to some other state, you'd have to... You couldn't speak for yourself. You couldn't be your own man. Because you would always be running from your past. I refuse to live like that. That's not who I am. Alright guys. I'll post the links and stuff down below. I don't know what I'll use for the thumbnail. It'll either be the lawyer or the Starbucks story. We'll see what happens. Total Control 871.